They all like you on red. Ay, pop it. They dreaming about how I rock it. Rushing my phone with a call. So I know that he come over and ride. I'm on the way. Riding that thing on me. Hey, usually I like to fuck. I like to fuck. Make look at you play. Nobody know. I put with him on the low. We never show up together, but I take him when I'm ready to go. Hey, I had a couple of shots at the bar. I'm finna play with that dick in the car. I got him swerving and breaking the law. These when I'm sitting so nobody saw my crew like me. Get what you need like me. Ain't nobody got money tip toes and broke to the tip like me. Hey, I do a thing he beating. My body a drug ain't needed. He begging me for the treatment. He throwing fit when I leave him. Let me rub on you. Love from you. My body addicted, they driving me crazy. Don't know what to do without it. Be fucking with you, I doubt it. They don't understand, I'm all understand. Let me do doing it for me lately. Going crazy. I got what you need. I'm gonna give it to you, baby. Going crazy. Doing it for me lately. I got what you need. I'll give you what you need. I'm a big old freak. Talk my shit. Hey, you must be a pussy boy if you get offended. And the team is snow. They love it cause I'm cold. Hey, you can't take no nigga from me. I got my control. Hey, I wanna fuck in the mirror. I like to look at your face when you in it. I'm in the room and I'm giving commands. I get the captain and he the lieutenant. I need that nigga like a motherfucking penny. Need you to spit, make that motherfucker listen. Shut up, make that motherfucker listen. I bet he gon' like it, he won't do no tripping. Ain't nobody freak like me. Get what you need like me. Ain't nobody got a money tip toes and broke tip like me. I fuck like dick if you fiendin'. My body a drug and he need it. He begging me for the treatment. He throw a fit when I leave. Baby, let me rub on you. Love from you. My body addicted, it's driving me crazy. I wish you could from you. Without it. Be fucking with you, I doubt it. They fucking understand, I'm all
Are you blocking it? You blocking
it. Going crazy.
Where's the phone that is like shit?
Going crazy. I got what you need. I give you what you craving.
No. Are you playing this from the phone or something? Oh no, you playing from here. I'm never mind. That's okay.
She can even fit her shirt.
Because I thought you were playing music from the phone at first, but never mind. So I just realized you playing from the computer. Never mind.
Yeah, she was broke like that. She can't even fit her clothes. Her titty can't even fit the shirt.
Yeah.
She got boxes already. You know she was they strippers.
Right?
I'm not trying to be in your business or nothing. What y'all supposed to be doing now?
Washing clothes.
We gotta get you. We gotta wait your mom.
Yeah, we
Oh,
gotta
yeah, what's your footage yet?
we wasn't planning on
I'm
doing
gonna buy it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Let's see, just let's see something.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be.
Let's got one here for that.
They keep $10 more for quarters out there.
They'll give us like that.
Yes, my mama do it all the time.
I didn't know that.
That's why we get my punishment too.
Larry, tell him.
Like if you
She's very instructing right there.
Yeah, I forgot to say.
And don't have to pay 25 cents.
Well, for what?
And food from this day, we take our quarter from
Are
this.
you serious? I didn't know that.
Tomorrow. I just love that shit too.
In Los Angeles, California.
Tomorrow is a brand new day. Tomorrow is a brand new day.
So, a drink?
Yeah, eggnog. It's not even that. It's the eggnog that. It's the eggnog.
So, she looking at her, that's cute. She looking at her paw like a cat.
Yes.
I bet you the animal here.
Huh?
She was the animal. No,
What did they
No, the way she did it too.
I thought it was crazy.
It looked like she's like a alien from different universe. But this right here is actually like really the cartels. I heard. I don't know.
Setting up my pussy, but don't let my emotions. If you spend some money, then maybe I just might fuck you.
That's what I'm talking about.
Slow motion.
Because they can catch that in the house.
You know, I'm wanted.
But he had it fast and spirit that. So that's covered it. So now they were fast and
Nigga, they butter my biscuits.
That's none of my business. I don't even need these men. This got 21, 20 my vision. Bad get a bitch with an eye on a price, but nigga, I ain't no million. Millions, thousands, billions. Vibes on me like billion. Now I'm talking like Hilton. Niggas on me like billions. Shouting, digging.
Everything like you. It's fucking reptilian.
Bitch, I got pictures was wild. Talking about I fell out. You ain't even get out. Bitch, yeah. I got pictures is bitch. I got pictures is jealous. I got pictures jealous. Bitch. So clear my pussy, but don't clear my
That's
motion.
crazy. Jeez.
If you spend some money, then maybe you just might fuck you. Wanna shake that ass and do the shit in slow motion. You got a whole lot of cash, nigga, you know I want it. Yeah, but pussy, don't play with my emotions. If you spend some money, then maybe you just might fuck you. Wanna shake that ass and do the shit in slow motion. You got a whole lot of cash, nigga, you know I want it. Nigga, don't do what you do. You tryna cast spells on a bitch with potions. Nigga, I need devotion. Telling me this and that, the third, that shit for the birds often. If you don't dive in the pussy like dolphins, if you don't dive in the pussy like oceans, swim to the island and clear like
You can tell before I met her picture is Nicki Minaj, you can tell. Huh?
That's
But that's what Nicki Minaj got to do right here.
My pussy, don't play my emotions. If you spend some money, then maybe you just might fuck you. Wanna shake that ass and do the shit in slow motion. You got a whole lot of cash, nigga, you know I want it. Yeah, my pussy, don't play my emotions. If you spend some money, then maybe you just might fuck you. Wanna shake that ass and do the shit in slow motion. You got a whole lot of cash, nigga, you know I want it.
Play my pussy. Don't play my pussy. Yes. Don't play with my emotions.
Okay.
She told them,
That's cool, bitch.
maybe I just might. Oh, she blew that motherfucker on
Say
fire.
no to that. A young one?
Hey, they said that her, she did a show and said it wasn't good.
What?
Mhm.
She wasn't popular then.
Shot James Kennedy.
You're my own father? I don't even know if he's I don't know if it's kind of hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it took me a long time to keep up. I got one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I wanna get to you. You see me in my room. Wish you were here right now. All of the things we do, I wanna get freaky on camera. I love when we get freaky on camera. We freak on the cam, the first take to send it to the gram. I see y'all kick with a tan and I play with it till my middle fingers are cramped up. Swipe right cause they take any hands. I'm love a sneak peek when you're free, can we camp up? No shots at the your hands up. Make a pop in your face like a
That's
drum.
like
And he don't even smoke the Insta. That's he going through my pictures. I wanna talk to you. You see me in my room. Wish you were here right now. All of the things I do, I wanna get freaky on camera. I love when we get freaky on camera. Let's break the internet. We go in the when we are side by side. When he off work, he calling me on Skype. Trust me when I'm here, I'm fucking on my side. Let me see you beat it up, till it like Mike. Oh, subject till I drown in all of your pics. Can't scroll down cause some of them dead. Making my parents go through my shit. Oh, can't give head, you can make a FaceTime. Making you a crib, so you a daytime. You ain't getting pussy, you fucking like AI. Oh, what a time to be alive. Living in a picture, banging on my hotline. I wanna talk to you. You see me in my mind.
That's big.
Wish you were here right now. All of the things I do, I wanna get freaky on camera. I love when we get freaky on camera. I wanna talk to you. You see me in my room. Wish you were here right now. All of the things I do, I wanna get freaky on camera. I love when we get freaky on camera. Let's break the internet. We go in the when we are side by side.
Isn't that different, baby? Look, they looking at it, experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
You see that shit?
Yeah.
She clever, but she ain't that clever.
Who?
Nicki Minaj. That goes on.
Now, this law start going to channel.
I don't even know if he's okay. He deserves to pay for what he did to Anita.
James and I have problems in our marriage, but we stay together for our kids.
I ain't got a reason to shoot Ghost from helping you. I'm running to be governor. Why would I shoot him?
Ghost is a drug kingpin.
wait.
The long list of enemies I know.
I did not
Thank you.
shoot.
James says
Right, no, stuff like that.
Smoke, just don't burn my shit.
Okay. That's back.
Yeah. This is drugs. This is my bad shit. You don't know this one.
This right here could be slowed down.
Not bad.
Yeah, this sounds better.
I can change the setting. You gonna do like that? Do multiple things and change the setting. Also, basic. Put it on high performance and then it won't do all that skip stuff. I can change the power setting on the computer on the computer so that when you do multiple things, they don't skip like that. Skip it all high. Okay. I need to change the setting on the computer. So you can put it on high performance. High performance, you won't do all that skipping like that.
We're gonna do that right now.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
You have to pause it.
We'll put it in this video. We'll put it in video.
No. I can look at you too.
Quality.
Not that. There's none of that.
What do you want?
Okay, I'll do it later. I'll do it a little later.
Which one is it?
It's none of that.
What is it then?
I'm telling you, this is incredible. This shit
Go to the corner up there and hit the windows thing. Hit windows at the bottom.
Oh my god. Can you see that?
Yeah, all the way over to the left there. Click on that.
Bad bitch. Fuck a P-tag. Shit, if he don't eat it, he a D-bag. He could use a submarine. Come see me down, boy. Really down. Baby, let me rock you for the town. It's your only chance, baby, never hold down. Yeah. Let me see you go to town, baby.
Oh, here, it's right here. It's right here. Type in power option. Power option, yeah. Type in power option.
Power off.
Type in in the box. Power option.
Powerhouse.
Option. Erase that last part. Option. O-P-T-I-O-N. O-P-T-I-O-N. This one. Edit PowerPoint. This PowerPoint right here. Not edit.
I text him a peanut.
Okay. Okay. Power option.
Oh, this wasn't Windows.
It is Windows. Go to control panel. Go to control panel. Right here. Control panel.
Control.
Yeah, so what is this?
Huh?
Is it butter there? What's butter?
I know exactly what you're talking
You smell it?
about. Yes, I do. What is that smell?
Thank you. It's the smell of vapes. What's that shit called?
Vapor up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, you don't smell that?
I know. I do smell that.
I know you don't smell it. This smoke is burning all that shit.
you got a cold or something?
No, it's not that. It's ice in there. That don't fit pain.
Oh, ice yeah.
It's
That
not
one?
ice.
Being gay?
Yeah.
Control panel.
Yeah.
Oh, this one right here, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drip dry, I'm a lip lock lady, lip gloss on the thick cock candy tip. Titties flip like crazy zip lock. Pussy tight, pussy gravy.
Pussy tight, pussy gravy.
Pussy president slavery. Pussy heaven sent save
Okay,
me.
yeah.
Pussy hesitant, only good fit maybe.
Heart with something.
Ecstasy, triple X.
Oh, take the heart, yeah.
Ecstasy and make it wet. Ecstasy, triple X. Comes go hard out with the bed. Ecstasy, triple X.
Heart with down. Look, up. Click on the whole.
Not pussy hex. I don't want it, cause this pussy crazy. Now he tryna have my baby, vibing. Now he wanna turn the lights out, so he can see what the hype about. This pussy poppin', can you blame him? This pussy drippin' like gravy. Ain't no butter bitch, and I'm wavy. only good dick phase me. Cause when I see pop in, it drives these niggas crazy. And when I'm in the town, running real town, bitches know not to play me. Me and Brooke, couple fine hoes. Me and Brooke, couple time hoes. And we ain't waiting on no lines. It's Charlie, baby. Wanna go hard, no go crazy. Rolls Royce got me messed up. Double drop with the orange Tesla.
I like this song.
Oh, yeah, pause it like that. Let me go back to it.
We go do it on this one. Do it on this one so she can see.
Triple ecstasy.
Pussy pop, can you blame me? Pussy president save me. Pussy heaven sent statement. Pussy hesitant, only good thing maybe. Ecstasy, triple X. When I ride the D, I'm get wet. Ecstasy, triple X. Come so hard out of the bed. Ecstasy, triple X. Triple ecstasy, triple X. Next to me, no regrets. I'm a sex switch, fat pussy heads. Had to wallet, cause this pussy crazy. Now he tryna have my baby, vibing. Now he wanna turn the lights out, so he could see what the hype like. This pussy poppin', can you blame him? This pussy drippin' like gravy. When the butter bitch, I'm waving. Only good dick phase me. Cause when a pussy poppin' on the handstand, it drives these niggas crazy. And when I'm in the town, running around, no, not to play me. We in Brooklyn. And we ain't waiting on no lines, ho. Cause we ain't fucking with you, man, ho. Ecstasy, triple X. Everybody, take wet. Ecstasy, triple X. Come so hard, triple X. Triple ecstasy, triple X. Next to me, no regrets. I'm a sex rich, fat pussy heads. Shout, get dirty, like pussy, like a potion.
No, we can't have it.
Poison the lotion.
Look at this, baby.
Nah, you can't have it.
On the East Coast, everybody say, everybody wanna say, it's Charlie, baby. Rolls Royce got me messed up. Double drop with the orange Tesla. Brooks ass, we're back. Take the whole damn club to the tour bus. The core bus. Way up, now I'm peeking. Take on more than one meaning. Me and Brooke 2013. Dude, you say, baby, tell me how you feeling. Triple X. When I ride the D and make it wet. Ecstasy, triple X. Come so hard out of the bed. Ecstasy, triple X. Triple ecstasy, triple X. Next to me, no regrets. I'm a sex rich, fat pussy heads. Ecstasy, triple X. When I ride the D and make it wet. Ecstasy, triple X. Come so hard out of the
Shit, chilling with Mike and Eric, watching videos. You do? Yeah. I'm good. What you thought I was gonna do? Keep going. Huh? What you thought I was gonna do? I said I got some. Oh, what's that? You coming out here? Yeah. Come on. I'm already like on my way. I'm gonna bring how I am. I'll be out there on Sunday. It took 2 days. Yes, I said it's mine. Why not leave? Yeah, I'm ready for that. Yeah, take it. I'm on live.
That's right.
You know, I'm not trying to
You don't really smell. It's fucking.
I said, let me see. Oh, you want to? You know where the white plug is over there?
It's right in front of
The white one?
You know what I'm saying, bro. Stop me getting on my way. Oh, hell no. You missed a whole lot in 3 months. I been to a lot of shit in 3 months. All kind of shit. I was fucking shit. I had a little bitch. I was this little bitch I was fucking with, and she called herself Jackie. Yeah. And, some shit like pretty much you could say that. And I've been knowing this bitch for years. I didn't never think she would be like that type of grinding no hoe. Feel me? And she took all my money. She didn't give me no money. I thought I was giving her money. She couldn't stand it. And I was like, when she did it to me, she got me about her bone inside, because I was like going through this shit. And like the bitch wasn't there for me. Basically, she jacked me the day I needed her the most. You know what I'm saying? No more, man. Like I stopped talking to her. It's not even about the money.
You got to go now. You have to wash your clothes.
That's why I'm not gonna lose my blessings.
Okay.
Because in all reality, even no matter what I do to a bitch, don't know bitch, it's a take the money from me.